U.S. History students, this is Mrs. Thomas, and I'll be reading the week 4 quiz to you. The quiz questions along with the answer options. And there are a total of 9 questions on this quiz, and the point value is 19 because there is one that is worth 3 questions. When you're done taking your quiz, please make sure to go all the way to the bottom and hit submit quiz so that your quiz grade shows up successfully in the grade book for us. Question number 1. Which of the following is not a strategy by which women's suffrage movement tried to obtain the right to vote? Agree to limit women's employment opportunities in exchange for suffrage, gain voting rights at the state level first and then move on to federal rights, bar men from membership in their organization and gain immediate women's suffrage on the federal level, or utilize radical nonviolent tactics such as hunger strikes and protests. Question number 2. You're going to use the map entitled State by State Women's Suffrage Before the 19th Amendment, 1920. In which region of the country did the women's suffrage movement achieve its earliest victories? The South, the East, the West, or the North? Question 3. Once it was signed into law by President Wilson, which amendment gave women the right to vote? The 16th, 17th, 19th, or 18th Amendment? Question 4. What was the result of the investigative journalism done by the muckrakers that uncovered corruption and scandal in business and government? Government investigations and regulatory reforms were implemented. Urban governments hired reporters to look for corruption. Newspaper circulation increased, but little else happened. Reporters like Jacob Riis and David Graham Phillips were elected to Congress. Was part of Woodrow Wilson's New Freedom agenda? The reduction of farm subsidies, the implementation of the Food and Drug Act, the formation of the United Nations, passage of the Keating-Owen Act, which restricted child labor. Question 6. Which president promoted a political program called New Nationalism that included conservation and national parks? William McKinley, Woodrow Wilson, William Taft, or Theodore Roosevelt? Question 7. All of these were used in the South to promote segregation and limit the rights of blacks, except poll taxes, Jim Crow laws, literacy tests, crop subsidies. What was significant about the 1896 Supreme Court ruling in Plessy versus Ferguson? It outlawed segregation since facilities for blacks were not really equal if separate. It determined that a majority vote could exclude African Americans from exercising their civil rights. It approved segregation as long as blacks had separate but equal facilities. It determined that African Americans could vote as long as they had registered in advance. Question number 9. Match the African American equal rights leader with the correct description. Your options are W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, Marcus Garvey. Number 1. He believed it was more important that blacks had a chance at self-improvement, so he found the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute. He believed in immediate social equality and that highly educated leaders will lead African Americans to equality. And number 3, he urged African Americans to build their own communities instead of trying to integrate with whites. When done with your quiz, click the Submit Quiz option at the bottom. Good luck on your quiz.